Oh my, this is Melissa. I'm just gonna talk about what I learned today. The main topic is today is the service worker. And those who have those who have no experience about worker thing is this is not service worker. Is not same as the worker thread. And let me just try to explain to you the background of it. We are front-end engineers, and of course we have to make some website, and our website is separate from the tab. And in our website, the reason why user can access to our website is because users are using web application, which is the browser, which is also Chrome or Safari or whatever. And the common characteristics about the browser application is the multi-process application. Process architecture. So what do you mean multi-process architecture? The multi-process architecture is the application that has multiple process. Example, the one is a browser process, and what else? There's a render process. I think there's more. Oh yeah, the GPU process and whatever. There's a lot of stuff, but I think the main core thing is the browser process and render process. Now, let me just try to give an example for you. When you're trying to go to just open the browser, and you're just gonna type some kind of unique URL, or the URL that you want to go for. Example, GitHub website. But the question is, the browser has to validate if this URL or not. You put the specific characters via typing input keyboard on the address bar, and this address bar is called UI, and the browser process is the handle this kind of UI thing. And inside browser process, the UI thread that handles UI thread. Example, you refresh the button, refresh button, or just click the new tab. Those kind of UI thing is handled by the browser process, because the UI thread is inside the browser process. And when you type some kind of URL for it, or whether it is like GitHub, you're trying to type GitHub, the URL thread, your browser is gonna be validate it is the URL or the search query. If it is the URL, it is gonna ready for the hit the URL thread, but it is not just the ready for the search query. And now we are going to GitHub URL, and of course when you click the GitHub the URL, and when you click you press the enter, the network has to be done. Why? Because GitHub, the link of the GitHub is you have to get the IP address of the GitHub URL, because URL is also it is the human terms about the location of the GitHub web service. And to get the real address, the URL address of the GitHub website, you have to get the IP address. That's how the DNS lookup is began. After you receive the real IP address from the DNS lookup, now you fetch the GitHub website from the GitHub GitHub web server, because you already got the IP address from DNS lookup. And when you got it, now you render the page via sending your HTML, CSS, JavaScript into render process, and render process handles all kind of rendering. And render process has only the main one thread, which is also called the main thread, and JavaScript parsing, HTML parsing, it's just parsing are only doing the main thread of the render process. Now back again, why we need service worker? Why the service worker? The main purpose is the cache. Why we need some kind of cache is because to improve the web application performance, the cache is really important. Like I just said, I said about DNS lookup. If you look at under the hood of the DNS lookup, the DNS lookup automatically caches the key of your URL of the GitHub, for example GitHub, and the value is gonna be IP address. It is gonna be cached on your browser. The cache is really important because when you do the cache hit, you don't have to go to this kind of the unnecessary process. And now this cache is also validates HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or the image, or your external script. Example, you wanna get some kind of big external script, external JavaScript from the other CDN. Now you just have to cache this. You can just cache this, but the caching is it doesn't automatically cache it. You have a lot of strategy. That's called the cache control. Cache control is just to put your resources into the how amount that you want to cache it. If it's just the month or hour or whatever, or if some server can intercept the cached value or not, those kind of things is being held by cache control. Cache control is part of the HTTP cache control. So the HTTP is part of the network application layer of some kind of the application layer of the network. Now the question is why we need service worker, because we already have HTTP cache control. But the thing is that before you hit the network, the network thread is the one who doing the fetch or DNS lookup, right? But before we even doing that, you can use service worker. Service worker is just the system in the browser application. The service worker is just a thing of the browser application, but it has cache on it. It can do the cache on it. It can do the fetch on it. So the interesting thing is that you want to get GitHub URL, but before even getting a GitHub URL, before hitting the network, you can see the service worker. You can check the service worker and you can see the cache value. If there's something on it, if there's GitHub related cache, you can get the value. So there is no need to be hitting the cache of it. So now so that is kind of before the process of the cache control. Before even cache control, you can use your service worker cache to get the resource even quickly faster. This is why this is important. So you can use this strategy when you go to landing page. You can just get the external CDN or the big resources on the after the rendering. So you have to put the differ on it. So differ is just the parsing or executing or rendering on the really last of other resource parsing. So after you get your resources from the landing page, you have to do the cache control to cache it, how many amount the time you cache it, and also you can put into your service worker. So that is why in the service worker there's a network only or cache only. So I think that's network only. Yeah, it was network only, cache only. Network only is the one who just is doing the network thread with our service worker. Cache only is the one who use the cache when you use the service worker of the cache. And the reason why the cache is important is because before even calling the API, before even user interact with your page, it can improve the web performance. That is why cache is important. So this is it. Have a nice day. See you next time. Bye bye.